Final step, attach robotic ignition system. Thank you for using help desk technology. Welcome to the Gadgetron Help Desk. We are here to offer you advice during your interplanetary travels. The Help Desk is a free service provided by Gadgetron Corporation. You can interrupt help desk messages by pressing the triangle button. To disable help desk messages, please select options from your pause menu. Gadgetron's OmniWrench 2000 includes a new feature. To activate it, use the R1 button and then press the square button. That's nanotech. Whenever you sustain injury, let Gadgetron's patented nanotech system rebuild your body from the inside out. To use your bomb block, press the circle button to equip it, and the circle button again to fire. You can also use it in first person by holding down the L1 button.
Interesting.
Yay!
You're quite handy with your wrench.
You bet. I built that ship with it.
Currently, I'm in search of someone who could be of assistance in saving the solar system. Do you know where I might find that fellow?
Well, he's on the radio every week. Other than that, no. Hey, what's with all this save the solar system stuff anyway?
Hello, citizens of... My race, the blog, have a small problem. Our planet has become so polluted, overpopulated, and poisonous that we are no longer able to dwell here. But I, Chairman Drek, have a solution. We are constructing a pristine new world using the choicest planetary components available. So, what does this mean to you might ask? Using highly sophisticated technology, which you couldn't possibly understand, we will be extracting a large portion of your planet and adding it to our new one. Unfortunately, this change in mass will cause your planet to spin out of control and drift into the sun, where it will explode into a flaming ball of gas. But, of course, sacrifices must be made. Thank you for your cooperation.
Cut!
And if you don't like it, you can take your whiny, sniveling, snot-nosed populations, form a line behind me, and kiss my... We're still on? Well, turn it off, you idiot!
The people on those planets are hosed. Well, good luck getting Captain Quark to help you.
Actually, you could help me. If you could use your ship to take me to the coordinates contained in this infobot, I might be able to gather further information there.
Even if I wanted to, I can't. I'm missing a crucial component of the ship.
The robotic ignition system.
How did you know that?
I, sir, happen to be equipped with the latest in robotic ignition systems. My programming allows me to start any ship I choose.
So, I agree to take you to this, wherever it is, and you get my ship started for me?
That is what I'm proposing.
Deal.
This could be a problem. Take care of it.
Whoa, this is great! So that's where I've been stuck this whole time.
Please return your appendages to the steering mechanism, sir.
Huh? Oh, right. Sorry. Oh, and by the way, you can stop calling me sir. The name's Ratchet.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, sir.
You got a name?
My serial number is V54296.
Oops. I'll just call you Clank for short. Hang on.
So you see, it would be most beneficial if your citizens were not in the city when my workers begin removing it.
Preposterous! I will not stand for this.
Unfortunately, you have no choice in the matter.
Let's just see what Captain Quark has to say about that, my good man. I don't see what's so funny. Captain Quark could dispatch you without even breaking a sweat, you puny.
You have now officially worn out your welcome and my patience.
This is your last chance. Stop this madness now!
Okay, wait. You're right. I will withdraw my troops.
Really?
No! He's all yours, gentlemen. Try not to leave any marks.
Clank? Where are you? Oh, sorry about that. Well, we're not leaving the way we came in.
Perhaps we could procure a ship from one of the inhabitants.
If there are any left.
I got some great bargains for you today. Oh, that's a nice one. I got some great bargains for you today. That's a real beauty.
Hold down the circle.
Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Oh, what are you? Mercenaries? Torturers? Assassins? I'll tell you anything. Here, take my infobot. It's all I've got left.
Sir, we're not assassins.
Hold on. Let's see what he's got.
Has this ever happened to you? Hi, I'm Captain Quark, and believe me, there's nothing worse than staring down a Blargian snagglebeast from the inside and knowing your equipment isn't functioning properly. That's why I come to Al's Robo Shack for all my electronic needs. Al has been the exclusive repair shop for my super electro gadgets since I was knee-high to a sand mouse. If Al can't fix it, it's not broke. Right, Al? You said it, pal! So if you're fighting crime, or just fighting grime, come to Al's Robo Shack in Metropolis for all your robotic repairs. Al's Robo Shack, it's Quarktastic!
Do you know what this means?
Yeah, Captain Quark is really sold out.
No, it means Captain Quark is on Metropolis. We could tell him about this invasion.
If we had a ship.
What? A ship? What? You're not going to torture me? Well, as planetary chairman, I could arrange for you to borrow our courier ship.
Cool.
You can count on us, sir.
Right. Thank you, your chairman shipliness.
Gadgetron infobots give you coordinates for new planets. You should press the select button to bring up the map and go to your ship. It's marked with a star. Hold down the circle button.
God blast it!
Look, plumber's crack.
What did you just say?
I said, look, the plumber's back.
All right, wise guy. Shouldn't you be on one of them escape transports?
Escape transports?
Newsflash, giant robots attacking! The escape transports are taking all the rich folks off this gall-darn planet.
So why aren't you on one?
Socioeconomic disparity.
What?
He hasn't got enough bolts.
Working people have to wait for Captain Quark to save us.
Well, got anything worth a lot of bolts?
I got this thing. Shows two weirdos ditching their ship. It's got coordinates to a desert planet, too.
An infobot. Ratchet, we could use that.
Geronimo!
Did he just slide down a sewer pipe?
Mayday, mayday! This is the solar ship Radical. We seem to be under attack from the planet's surface.
Relax, kid. It looks like some sort of fireworks display. Probably in your honor.
Whoa! That was close! Ah!
Pipe down, I can't concentrate.
But we've been hit!
An unexpected detour. When we land, I'll see if I can scare up an exhibition for you.
We're not gonna live that long!
Kid, let's M-scrape!
Eject! Eject!
Did you see that guy on the left? That was Skid McMarx.
Does he know Captain Quark?
I doubt it. He's a pro hoverboarder, always going off about how cool he is.
Looks like he's in trouble.
I'll say. I've never seen him look so freaked out.
To enter look-around mode, press and hold the L1 button. The Gadgetron Quick Select system to activate.
Hi there, Fuzzball.
Quickly center the camera. Just hold the L1 button.
Ratchet. That's the man we saw on the infobot. Remember? He knows Captain Quark.
Hey, you're that robot guy, right?
No, actually, I build robots. I myself am not a robot guy, per se.
Nerd.
I like him.
So, now that we've cleared that up, what can I do for you?
Well, we saw your infobot announcement. You were with Captain Quark. We're trying to find Captain Quark. We thought you could help us.
Your logic is commendable. However, I haven't seen Captain Quark since we shot that commercial. Say, do you run on standard XP18 sister boards?
Version 7.66.
Back at ya. I may be able to help you out after all. How does a helipack upgrade sound?
Upgrade?
Natch. Since he's a 766, I could have the little guy up and flying in no time. Of course, I'll just need my fee for service. Okay, this won't hurt a bit.
Hey, wait! Ratchet, am I cool now?
Yeah, you the man, Clank.
You're welcome.
Try using the Helipack's boost jump feature to climb these boxes. Press the R1 button to crouch, then jump. You'll need your new Helipack stretch jump feature to cross this gap. While you're running, crouch using the R1 button and then jump. using the glide feature of your new helipad. Jump, and then press and hold the X button in mid-air to glide.
Greetings, Executive Chairman Drek.
Dispense with the pleasantries, Lieutenant. My sources tell me you're behind schedule. You must prepare this planet to be harvested for our new world.
Yes, sir. As you can see, everything is moving along as planned.
I'm counting on you, Lieutenant. And as your former commander can tell you, I don't take disappointment well.
Yes, sir. I won't fail.
Drek is destroying yet another planet.
Yeah, but if that's the kind of help he's getting, I don't think we have anything to worry about.
You should not underestimate Chairman Drek. He is quite dangerous. We must find Captain Quark.
Look, that lieutenant doesn't seem so tough. Let's take him out ourselves.
Perhaps we can persuade the lieutenant to tell us where Drek is.
Now you're talking.
Welcome to the Captain Quark Fitness Course. If you're strong enough, fast enough, and clever enough to beat my fitness challenge, you will receive a reward from my head trainer. Simply make your way to the third island to complete the course. Good luck. Quark Enterprises is not responsible for sprains, broken bones, snapped tendons, bruised egos, or accidental death incurred while taking the challenge.
Excuse me, Captain, but we have more pressing issues. We urgently need your assistance.
Clank,
Yes?
do you notice anything unusual about Captain Quark?
Well, I find the fact that he has a spring where his leg should be to be quite puzzling.
And why do you think that is?
Possibly an injury incurred while battling evil?
This isn't the real Captain Quark, you numbskull. It's a robot.
Oh.
These moving walls also function as jump slots. Jump and jump again to kick off the walls in midair until you reach the top.
Listen up, you loudballs! That was the most pathetic display I have ever seen on that obstacle course!
What do you mean?
We finished the circuit, ma'am.
Oh yeah, but it is weak. Weak! When I was competing, I would devour courses like that for breakfast!
Bet that's not all.
If it were up to me, you would drill for the rest of the day! But somehow you managed to impress that fool Captain Quark!
Captain Quark knows about us?
He certainly does. And worst of all, he wants me to give you a prize for that ridiculous performance.
Cool, what is it?
I'm supposed to give you a swing shot, so you can sway to and fro like little insects.
All right, let's see it.
Not so fast. Today the two of you disgraced my obstacle course, so I am going to make you pay.
But that prize is ours from the captain. That's not fair.
Too bad, life's not fair.
Sweet. I bet Captain Quark uses stuff like this all the time.
Ha! Real men can swing without silly toys like that. The two of you make me sick.
Congratulations on your new Gadgetron Swing Shot. Use it on standard Versa targets like the ones nearby. If the target is out of view, use the L1 button to aim.
no signal whatsoever. This downtime is killing me.
Do you need medical attention, sir?
Don't be so literal, son. The problem is I'm stranded on this backwater planet and my star client is nowhere to be found.
Hey, we saw you on that infobot. You're Skid's agent.
Was Skid's agent. Haven't seen him since our ship crashed. And an agent without a client is like a flea without a dog. Say, you look like an athletic kid. If you can bring back the championship prize from the hoverboard races in Blackwater City, I'll make you my next star.
We have no time for trivial matters, sir.
I could be the next Skid McMarks.
I got some great bargains for you today.
It's him, Skid McMarks.
That man from the infobot.
In the flesh, little dude. You guys get a load of that epic space battle I was in?
We saw you, screaming for help.
That was like a war cry. My agent and I got ambushed on the way to hoverboard practice.
Did he survive the crash, sir?
He's okay, but I've had a little trouble getting back to my ship due to my sprained ankle.
Oh, come on.
If you can take out all the sand sharks, I just might have a spare hoverboard for you.
We'd love to help you, Mr. McMarks, but Ratchet and I need to find Captain...
One of your boards? I've always wanted a decent hoverboard. Well, all right. You just keep that foot elevated.
Here, man. Catch.
A brand new Z3000! You can't even buy these!
Well, I got a bail. Catch you dudes at the hoverboard races.
You've just acquired a Gadgetron Z3000 hoverboard. Use your new hoverboard at the racetrack in Blackwater City on planet Rilgar.
Yes, quite lovely. That should just about do it. Commander, we are finished with this world. Commence towing our planet to its next destination. Lieutenant!
Yes, sir.
You have fulfilled your tree quota. Barely.
We are ready to return to base.
Not so fast, Lieutenant. Just because we don't need any more trees doesn't mean they should have them. Destroy everything.
Hi there, Fuzzball.
Sweet!
Gadgetron's suck cannon can vacuum up multiple enemies, then fire them out as high-caliber missiles. Caution, enemies must be small enough to fit inside the barrel. You'll need a Gadgetron trespasser to get past this security door. Unfortunately, our scans do not show a trespasser available on this planet.
Hi there, Fuzzball.
You'll need a Gadgetron trespasser to get past this security door. Unfortunately, our scans do not show a trespasser available on this planet. Using the latest in precision laser technology, the Gadgetron Trespasser is guaranteed to work on Gadgetron's line of Invinso lock security doors. Lasers are mounted on each ring of the Invinso lock. Aim the lasers at the receptors on the outside ring to turn them green. All receptors must be green before the Invinso lock will open. Use the left analog stick to control the Trespasser. Push up and down to select which ring is active. Push left and right to rotate the ring.
You sure showed him.
I suppose I did.
Is your current occupation leaving a rotten taste in your mouth? Then you need to know about BTS, Blog Tactical Research Station. Hi, I'm Supreme Executive Chairman Drek, and we here at BTS are seeking motivated individuals to fill positions in these exciting careers. Grind boot tester, warhead assembly technician, mutant animal husbandry, robot repairman, suck cannon test dummy, and administrative assistant. So call BTS. Build our weapons while you build your future.
I'm calling BTS today.
Now we're talking. Did you see all the cool gadgets they're making? Let's go get some.
No, we must continue our search for Captain Quark.
You're absolutely right.
I am?
Sure. We need to find Quark. Although when we find him, wouldn't it be nice to be able to tell him where Chairman Drek is?
I suppose.
Well, we go to the space station and talk to the scientists. They work for Drek, so they're bound to know where he is.
I am unsure about your logic.
You think too much. Come on, let's go.
Hi there, Fuzzball.
This shuttle has an autopilot which will take you to a decommissioned large warship. Our scanners indicate that there may be useful technology on board. Jump, then press and hold the X button again while in the air to glide. You have just activated a Gadget. To command a Gadget, hold down the triangle button and select Wait. The Gadgetron Hydro Dispenser uses Insta faucets and Insta drains. Using it, you can drain and fill pools. Our sensors do not detect any on this space station.
I'm back.
So you are.
And I found this.
Hey, cool. It's what is it?
A hydro displacer.
Great. I always wanted one of those, I guess.
Thank you for selecting our automated self-destruct feature. Vessel annihilation sequence initiated. Please remove all personal belongings. Seriously, I'm not kidding. This whole place is about to explode. Really.
This is Darla Gratch reporting live from Blackwater City. We've just learned that Captain Quark will be presenting the grand prize at the Intergalactic Hoverboard Championship, which will be held here over the next few days. In related news, this planet has recently been suffering from an infestation of strange amoeboid creatures. The city's administration has assured this reporter that every step has been taken to eradicate these nuisances. Darla Gratch, Channel 2 News.
Did you see that?
Yes, I hope that poor woman is all right.
She's fine, I think. I was talking about the hoverboard races.